Hi guys, it's Paul. Just thought I'd put a video out on decoders, as there is quite a few decoders out there, and there's always going to be someone who always turns around and says, why do you need a decoder? Why do you need a decoder for a fortress? Why do you need a decoder for a leg? Why do you need decoders for a Vectis? They're always going to have some sort of opinion on it, and to be honest, they're welcome to an opinion. You know, that's their opinion, they're entitled to it. So my opinion is, as a actual trading locksmith, most of you will know that I've been trading for nearly 10 years as locks in the city, but prior to that I was working for other people, and if I could have had these decoders or pin and cam systems that are out there when I was doing evictions over 10 years ago, then it would have been welcomed. Now, I can curtain pick, and I predominantly curtain pick, but still, that's not to say that decoders have their place. You know, there is times where you're going to get the odd lock that's going to cause you headache, doesn't want to open. I even get them as much as the next person. You know, I don't claim to be God's gift to locksmithing. I'm just someone who's put the time in to learn my trade and become good at my trade. You know, I don't possess special powers, and you get a lot of people that turn around and say, oh, I wish I could do what you can do. Well, if you put in the same amount of time and you take the time to take things apart, you'll be able to do it. As I said, it's no special power. I wasn't born with the ability. It's just taken me years of having a dedication to take things apart and put my money into myself, okay? So as I said, no, you don't need decoders. I could get by with just my curtain pick, okay? But as I said, there's always locks around the corner that are going to jump out, and they're just going to be headache for whatever reason. And sometimes the decoders come into their own, because if someone's broken a portion of their key, okay, they've come to you, or they've called you, you've gone out to them, they say, my key's not working. You look at the key, and one of the teeth, the upstands on the key, snapped off on a Mortice key. Okay, so for a prime example, okay, these upstands, you know, they're quite thin, there's not much support there. In your pocket or anything else, or you drop your keys and it's got a bit of weight on it, you're going to bend them, keep straightening it out, whatever, you know, it's going to cause you problems. You go to the property, they've got the key in their hand, and you've got a decoder in the van, okay? You don't even have to pick the lock. You could just go and make a key up to that door and open the door. And if they've got spare keys inside, that's fine. If not, they've not lost the key, so you haven't got to change the lock. And if they want to keep it because other family members or carers or whatever have got the keys, then you can use a decoder to cut a spare key on the van. So this is where decoders come into their own. And not only that, when you're Mortice picking, more so probably on warrants and evictions, if you open a lock and you need to relock that lock back up after, the problem that you've got is some Mortice locks, if you can't get that bolt to balance and the door's fitted quite tight, then when the bolt comes back far enough, the levers are going to drop behind the stump and stop the stump from then locking up, okay? Now, some locks will curtain pick shut, okay, but on a warrant you're not going to always be able to do that, and sometimes it can be more awkward. You take locks out of door, you undo the cap screws, you try and balance the stump in the gate to try and be able to shut the door, and as you shut the door, the bolt hitting the frame pushes the bolt back in, and the levers drop again behind the stump, okay? So the easiest thing for that, what are you going to do in that situation? You ain't going to want to sit there and make a key to a lock to be able to lock the door by hand. You're going to want the quickest method, and again, that's where decoders come into hand. So when I'm on a warrant and I do curtain pick a Fortress, a Yale PM560, leg ASEC or anything like that, whilst everyone's doing their business, I'll just go to the van, get me my decoder, and I'll make up the key. There's no hardship in doing it. So I don't get the mindset of some people that will say you don't need decoders. I think the mentality of that is like saying you don't need a van because you could walk to your job or get a bus there. You know, it's the same mentality. You do things to make your life easier. So the same with decoders. Okay, now I've got a mixture of GJs. I've predominantly got GJs, and a lot of people say, oh, well, you're going to be biased. Okay, many of these tools here are purchased with my own money. Yes, there is going to be some tools there that I've been sent for testing and everything else like that, admittedly, but a lot of these decoders I purchased years ago before I had any involvement in doing any training or anything else prior to that. So a lot of these decoders, maybe not the Fortress and the leg, but all the other ones I bought, and all my other ones that I'm going to be showing as well, came out of my own money. So because, as I said, you've got to invest in yourself. If you are trading locksmith, or you're someone who wants to achieve better results in your business, then obviously that's where decoders are going to come into play at some point down the line. Okay, so the decoders that I have in the GJ range, okay, there might be a couple I haven't got here, and if I think about them I'll go through them. Okay, so I've got the Chubb Union detainer. Okay, so that'll do your 110s and anything that uses the detainer range. Okay, I can curtain pick these locks, but can I pick them back close again? No, not easily, without a lot of faffing around. So got that on the van. Okay, so I might not necessarily pick and pin every 110 that I come against, but if I do choose to curtain pick one, once that lock's open and everyone's going about their business, if I want to make a key, I can. To pass my MLA exam, I had to make a key to a 110 by hand. I did that, I passed my exams, but still, I've got that to my disposal. It'll speed up the process, so why not do it? Instead of hand making a key in 20 minutes, I can cut a key on the machine using this in probably less than 5 minutes. By the time I've loaded the key, it's, you know, I don't need to explain it to people, but okay, so that's one of my decoders. Era Profit and Viscount. Okay, again, a lock that can be picked and can be decoded before you curtain pick it. Okay, but why do you need a decoder? Because a lot of van vaults, containers and everything, you'll find a lot of these on them, and in keyed-like fashion. So again, you could curtain pick them. You could curtain pick one on the left, curtain pick one on the right, or you decode one, build up a key, and instead of building half a key, you build a symmetrical key, and then bang, you can open both locks and you haven't got to pick both locks. I mean, it goes without saying that that makes sense. And of course, locking the doors back up if you're on a warrant or anything. Or, I mean, some of these, again, when you're curtain picking them, because of the anti-picks in them, if it keeps going into anti-pick, take a read with the plasticine, you can work out your heights, or just build the key and do it. You know, it's no hardship. So decoders are worth their weight in gold, in my opinion. Some people will dispute it, but again, you know, it's horses for courses. Union for the 2134Es, the Union Security, and the old Union with the stepped hard plate. Okay, again, really nice to pick. The whole range is really nice to pick. Why do I have a decoder? For the same reason, you know, it's one of them. Why wouldn't I? It's, you know, most people don't have just one curtain pick and one wire. A lot of other people will probably have multitude of the same sort of tool for different reasons, you know. Really simple one to use, worth, again, well, they're all worth their weight in gold. You know, if you use them for the right reasons. You know, a lot of people just leave them in the van, they sit there. I mean, you can see mine, they're all battered, and, you know, and that's thankfully why they're in cases, because these are used. They're not for display purposes. You know, you're going to get the odd door where curtain picking isn't always the easiest option. You've got door furniture to contend with, or, you know, other bits and pieces, and sometimes it is just easier to, especially with this one, the plasticine reed is so defined that you can make the key up in minutes. You can open the door, you know, be in, no faffing around, people breathing over your neck, and do it. But again, in videos you see me picking these open proficiently, no problem, but doesn't mean I wouldn't have that in my van. Okay, Euro spec. Again, really simple lock to curtain pick, and again, it's a lock that people would say, well, why do you need one for Euro spec if they're so simple to open? Because if I ever need to make a key, I don't carry Euro spec locks on the van, so they're quite a funny footprint lock. Now, if you go to a metal door, which I've come across, where they've got Euro spec in them, and then you can't just chisel out material out of a door. So what would I do? I would take the lock out the door, and I would make my own keys up. You haven't got to worry about 3 and 5 because they're 9-stepped keys, so it doesn't matter what order you put them levers in. You've got a decoder there, you've got a key machine on the van, bang a couple of, swap the levers around, cut a new key, happy days. You can't do that with a curtain pick. Eclipse, okay, again, a really simple lock to pick once you get the process, but again, as anything, you're going to get the odd one that is an absolute headache, and isn't going to want to pick or play ball or is testing your patience. So why not? Some of these are going to be discontinued, guys. I think that's one of them, and the Euro spec, because it's not so much that there's anything wrong, it's just that the locks have kind of faded out. When this was first made, one of the companies, one of the sheds, were pumping these out quite harsh, and well, rebranded as other locks, but they've kind of, because the locks were so crap, they've kind of disappeared. Okay, the Air Vectis. Okay, now the Air Vectis is typically going to be on a UPVC door, and again, can it be curtain picked? Yes, but what you have to remember is on UPVC, if the handles have been fitted correctly, the screws are on the inside. So if you're on the outside, you can't always get them screws off. The weather shield on the handle sometimes can be a bit of a pain to get your pick in and your wire in, and you do have to go quite deep in some of the doors. Yes, they are curtain pickable. Yes, they're simple in the sense of that there's no anti-picks, but if you've got an easier option, this gives you the reeds, and it gives you the reeds quicker than you could probably set your curtain pick up and everything. You just put that in, twist it, get your reeds. It's really simple. Okay, you use that for your gauge, and you will get people that say you don't need one. Well, that's all well and good, but if you're an actual trading locksmith out in the field, it is something that you will find handy. You might not necessarily use it every week, you might not use it every month, but for me, that's worth keeping in the van, because there's going to be times where people are on holiday, or the keys, the lock's not failed, and it's not a case of that they've lost keys. It could be a case of, well, prime example, not with this, but another lock. Only a few days ago, a customer contacted me. They'd gone home and they didn't have their keys. They'd left their keys in a hotel. Okay, they was able to get the hotel to take a picture of the keys and send me a picture, and then from that picture, I was able to just make a key up, and open the house. The keys weren't lost. The keys were just happened to be in another part of the country, and rather than wait for the hotel to send them out, they decided to call a locksmith, and we opened the door. So it's the same principle as these, and again, you can make the key up. Yeah, you could make a key by hand to all of these locks, but are people likely to do that out in the field on the, if you're on a workbench or something, then ideally, yeah, you can do it. It's a lot easier, and if you've got key machines and vices and stable workbenches, and yeah, it is doable. But there's going to be people out there who can't help themselves, say, oh, Vectis, I don't need it, I don't come across them that much, so it's pointless me having it. But when you're working on one of them doors and you can't go out and pick it, and you've got no other option, are you really going to want to be drilling for a UPVC door? I don't think so. But again, it's it's personal preference to people. These are my opinions, and whether people choose to agree to them, that's up to them. Okay, so you've got the Warsaw Abus. Now I enjoy picking these locks, and this is an old decoder, but it works fantastically well. I did have gun cabinets, decorative gun cabinets, that I had to go to and open 3 or 4 Warsaw Abus. Okay, each cabinet was keyed alike, and they had a lock at the top, lock at the bottom. So I had 4 locks to open. So I only had to do 2 decodes. Okay, do the decode on the first cabinet, 1 key, open both, went to the other cabinet, decoded it, had the key to. Yeah, I could have curtain picked them, but the time it would have taken to curtain pick 4, I'd already made the key and opened all 4. So again, it's just when you're in a situation and you've got these on your van and you're using them, you'll find more uses for them. If you want to make lever packs up, okay, or again you go to a door. I don't carry Warsaw Abus on the van. I could chisel in something else, but again, you know, if you're going to a door that's, let's just say, an oak door, okay, and the locks that you've got to remove material out of that door, or you haven't got something that will go in its place, and it leaves the fore end, there'd be a big gap if you put in the lock that you've got on the van for whatever reason. Okay, the customer won't be too happy potentially with that, and yeah, you know, you could put filler in it, but if you've got an expensive oak door, the same for any of these tools. Is the customer going to really want something shoddy looking, or just for the fact that you've got that on the van and you can make a key in the van, it's going to make life a lot easier for you. Fortress strong bolt. Okay, now I've got the older version and the newer version. Okay, I still carry both on the van. I don't need to, but it's just one of them. If I, for whatever reason, if something happens, say if I broke it or whatever, I've got another option. Even though to curtain pick them, I can curtain pick them with my eyes closed, but I can't pick every single one open because there's going to be some out there with flaws. The other thing with these is if you get doors that are tight or bowed, when you're curtain picking, you can't pull that bolt back with a curtain pick because you could potentially snap it. Now Fortresses, a lot of these locks, maybe not so much Vectis, but any Mortice lock, if you get one and the door's swollen, as we know, and sometimes you see customers have to pull on the door or push on the door to actually get the bolt to fire, when you're curtain picking, you're going to snap your pick. At least with this, you could take a reading, and then if you wanted to, go and cut a key on the van. You've got the heights, you can go and cut a key, and you'd rather snap a key than snap your pick, because I'd rather snap a £1 key than a tool that can be replaced. Obviously the GJ stuff is all covered, and you know, if you do break anything, typically within a day or so you've got the broken part replaced. But that's not going to help me out if I need that tool any other part of the day. So even though, as I say, I've got both. Okay, so the older version looks like that. Okay, I think this is like a Mark II version, this one, and then this is the later version. Okay, with the plates. So this will do the PM, so Fortress, you know, again, when you know your locks and you know what you're talking about, a Fortress has got 7 heights. Okay, so you've got your left and your right hand plate, and then the strong bolt and the Yale PM range are the 8 heights. Okay, so you don't have 8 in a Fortress, it's only 7. It's the 8 in the strong bolt and the PM range. Okay, now Fortresses are probably the most common lock throughout the UK, and I'm pretty sure everyone is going to have to open more than 10 a year, unless you're in an area where it's not predominantly Mortice locked. Okay, I know when I was living in London, I was opening them on a daily basis, because a lot of them had them on bin cupboards, the front doors, the back doors, you know, and with the newer builds that were being built in my area, from 10 years ago or so when I was living there, they was all Fortresses, so made sense to have these on the van. And again, you get them on cabinets, vaults, van vaults, keyed alike, so it's just another option. And they're extremely handy on warrants, purely for the reason of making a key up on the job. We've got the leg ASEC. So this is the newer version. I've got the older version in there. Again, I keep all of my kits, new and old. I don't just keep the newest stuff. I keep new and old, and I mix them and use them together. It's just what I do, because I like to have more than one method of entry. You know, if plan A fails, I've got plan B and I've got a plan C. And if I can do a plan D, I'll keep it. That's what locksmithing is, you know. It's having a solution to a problem and not going, well, my curtain pick's broken, I've snapped my wire, well, my wire don't work, I'm going to have to either go and make a wire. I've got every other option that I need. Okay, so going into some of the other ones that I've got. Okay, so I've got an old leg pin and cam. Now, in all fairness, I don't keep this on the van. Okay, not because I dislike it. As you can see, I was trying to sell it not that long ago. Okay, prime example, snapped key bit. Okay, went to a job. I mean, this is going back, this is probably 10 years ago or so, maybe even longer. And I remember this job, broken key. Okay, customer gave me that and said that fell out when they tried to turn it. They gave me that. I didn't have to curtain pick the lock. There I had the key make, or the bit in. I just made a key there and then on the spot. I had to use, obviously, with the pin and cam, these work on a system that not many, it's not so common anymore. It's more in the safe industry where it's still prevalent, but you know, so for argument's sake, okay, you'd load a pin in. I know some of you will know how these work, but there's going to be people who haven't seen these. Okay, so on here you've got your bittings, or your spacings I should say. Okay, so you've got your 1 through to 5 and your 1 through to 5 there, so that's dependent upon for left hand or right hand throw. Okay, now what this was designed to do is, so if you see that pin in there, I'm going to rotate this handle, and then what you're going to see is that pin lift slightly. So if I do it in here, see that small bit of lift? So what that enables you to do is to test each lever. Okay, and then from that you can step the heights, change the heights to build the key. Now, it was a little bit labour intensive, okay, but it served me well until the newer design stuff come through. So I can't slate this kit because I earned money from it. Okay, took plasticine reeds from the keys, okay, and that would allow you to make up your key and get the door open. It's not a new technology, okay, but I don't use it because I've got similar here, and I've got the older version of the leg in the same kit. But I just found this took just a little bit too long, and I found it a little bit labour intensive with it. But again, it served me well. When that was the only option that I had, when my curtain picking wasn't proficient, you relied on this to get you out the crap as and when I could. So happy days with that. This one is my old Secure Fast. Oh, that's something I haven't shown in the GJ range. The Secure Fast, one of them, that's in the van, but again, it's a kit that I use. Okay, so I've got all of the kit in here. Okay, so you've got your pins, and again, this was something that I used religiously on lots, because this did the old blue version and the black version of the Secure Fast, and in London, and I'm sure other parts of the UK, these are quite common on metal gates. Now, the old blue version, even though it's got a curtain, the curtain spins 360 degrees because the curtain doesn't pull the bolt back, the actual key does. So you wouldn't necessarily use this for sorry, getting me lost with my words. Predominantly this would be handy on the blue ones, because you can't curtain pick the blue one. It can be curtain picked, but you have to do a lot of faffing around and adapting and wires and everything to get it open. Whereas with this, you did a read, really simple to use, build up your key, and there you go, happy day. I mean, that's a makeup key for the GJ, but that was the original makeup key. Okay, I couldn't tell you when I last used this particular one, but I couldn't slate it. It's, you know, it done exactly what is on the tin, extremely accurate. Obviously GJ's got his range of one, and they're both very good. They both do what they say on the tin. Okay, so I've got all my old notes from, you can see the state of that, so I can't fault these. Again, I think that was a safe ventures one. I think that pin and cam that I just showed was safe ventures. Okay, so then I've got the Staden Turner pick. Okay, now this is one that's always in the van, and again, it's extremely useful bit of kit, and anyone who doesn't have one, I'd sort of say you know, you should get yourself one, because everyone, again, it's like a Fortress, everyone in the UK at some point is going to get a 110, a 114 or 114E, and yes, they can be curtain picked, but not everyone of them locks is going to be an easy pick. You know, if you've got slop in the curtain, or it keeps going into anti-pick, and, you know, whatever reason, you've got options. And again, I get a lot of these on containers, and I've come across them, and metal doors. I even done one on a loft hatch in a communal building, where in a block of flats they had a communal hallway, and at the top they had a gated grill across the loft hatch, and somehow or other they'd lost the keys, they wanted it open. Curtain picking would have been a nightmare, because you would have been stood up a ladder, your arms in the air, trying to undo a loft hatch. You imagine trying to pick a loft hatch open, a grill that was hinged. It just wasn't ideal. So this is where a decoder, pin and cam system, they come into their own. You'll find a use for them. Okay, the sad thing with this one, and it's not so much a flaw, because I've got another option, but you can't cut a key from this one. But the benefit of this one is the speed, and the usability of this one is what makes it worth its weight in gold. Definitely worth keeping on the van. I keep this one on the van purely for the reason, as you can see, it's well used. All my bits and pieces. So again, very similar to the leg ASEC one that I showed you, and as you can see, this has been well and truly used. But this at one point was my only option for the Chubb Union 3G 114-114Es. I didn't have any other tools. My curtain picking wasn't anywhere near the level that it is now, but that is what I owned to get myself in. And again, it earned its money. It's not something, I mean, I couldn't tell you the last time I used this, but I still see it as worth keeping in my van, because if I need to make a key, a lever pack, whatever, you know, I always got levers and odd levers there, whatever reason. If a lever sprung, broke on I can just, you know, whatever the reason, if I want to, I can cut a key from this. I can build the key up, okay, put all my pins in to make the key once I've got it open or found the key, or whatever the reason being, then I can make a working it's got, everything's got its use. Okay, that's what I'm trying to get to with the decoders. So I think that's all the decoders that I can think of. Actually no, I've got a couple here, I think. Okay, this one was really the first one that I became aware of for the Fortress. Well, I think it was the first one for the Fortress that I'm aware of. Okay, personally I struggled with it, but I think again a lot of that came down to user error at the time, more than anything. So pins in there. Okay, and it worked on the principle of a chart and read a wire to get your readings, but I tend to keep a lot of my stuff or pass it on to people that I think will benefit from it. Okay, this is just a spare 114 I got as a job lot. Okay, so again works on a pin and cam system. As I said, I can't fault these because I mean that's my original, the one that I've used for years. This is one that I inherited off a job lot, the same as another Staden pick. But these are sort of things I keep because if anything ever happens to the ones that I've got spares. So that's one of the reasons why I find decoders useful. Hopefully it makes a lot of sense, the video. If you've got any questions, leave them in the description or in the comment section below, and then from that I can try and answer any questions that I have got. Obviously the GJ range, you can look at purchasing them from the website, as well as the Safe Ventures one. I can't comment on them because I don't know whether they're still selling them. I can't be sure on that. That's something that you'd have to go and check on. Yeah, is there any other brand in there? No, I haven't got any. So yeah, so predominant. Oh no, the Staden Turner pick. Jeff Turner is your guy for this one, and the other locksmith suppliers, you know, wholesalers, can purchase them from. So hopefully that's going to help, guys. Cheers.